What if the rules no longer applied? One former president is now floating an idea so bold, it's shaking the very core of American democracy. And no, it isn't a drill. We're talking about a third term. Yes, third, and the man behind it is Donald Trump. So here's the bombshell. Trump recently hinted that he might just go for a third term. That's right. Even though the Constitution strictly limits presidents to 2 terms, Trump claimed there are methods to bypass that rule. It wasn't some offhand remark either. It was deliberate. And what makes it even more chilling is how confidently he said it, like it's all part of some larger plan. Now, you might think this is just Trump being Trump, but David Jolly, a former Republican congressman, says don't brush it off. He warns that Trump's words need to be taken seriously. Remember January 6th?
We'll never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
That's precisely what happens when people ignore what this man says. Jolly isn't alone either. Experts are ringing the alarm bells. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about preserving the system itself. And in case there's any doubt, Trump spelled it out loud and clear during NBC's Meet the Press. He said, and I quote, "There are methods to go for a third term. Many people want me to do it. A lot of people?"
They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that.
That's classic Trump. Vague, but menacing. It's the kind of statement that sounds harmless at first, until you remember what happened the last time we underestimated him. But here's the thing. Trump's not the only one pushing this narrative. Some Republicans are now officially calling for a third-term amendment. And wait until you hear what one congressman just proposed. Trust me, it gets wilder. Stay with us, because the next part might just blow your mind. Now, let's get one thing straight. The U.S. Constitution is crystal clear about this. The 22nd Amendment states that no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. That's it. 2 terms and you're out. There's no gray area. It was put in place after Franklin D. Roosevelt served 4 terms, to stop exactly this kind of power grab. The whole point of term limits is to keep democracy from slipping into dictatorship. Even though FDR is remembered fondly by many, the system saw the danger of one person holding power for too long. That's why the 22nd Amendment was ratified in 1951, to make sure it wouldn't happen again. But here's where it gets shady. When Trump talks about methods,
They do say there's a way you can do it, but
he's not talking about legal changes through Congress. He's talking about finding ways around the rules, and that's what makes it dangerous. It's not just talk. It's a test to see how much people will tolerate it. The more people cheer, the more dangerous it becomes. And this isn't even the first time Trump's played with the idea. In 2018, he praised China's President Xi for making himself president for life, and joked,
Maybe we'll have to give that a shot someday.
People laughed. It was treated like a joke. But when he keeps bringing it up, at rallies, in interviews, online, it doesn't feel like a joke anymore. It starts to sound like testing the waters. He knows what he's doing. Say something outrageous enough times, and eventually people stop flinching. They start rationalizing. Maybe it's just Trump being Trump, but that's how dangerous ideas slip through, by getting normalized, by turning authoritarian ideas into applause lines. Recently, Trump escalated things by referring to himself as a king, not metaphorically.
On social media, that congestion pricing is dead, likening himself to a king, posting "Long live the king."
He used the word proudly, like it was a title he'd earned. That's not just rhetoric. It's a mindset that says the rules don't apply to him. And the scary part? Some of his base eats it up. They don't want a president. They want a strongman, someone who doesn't play by the rules, someone who promises to take the country back, no matter the cost.
What we're going to do, take back our country tomorrow.
It's one thing for a political figure to challenge norms. It's another when they openly flirt with authoritarianism and get cheered for it. The more outrageous the idea, the bigger the applause. And soon, the line between democracy and demagoguery starts to blur. Let's be real. No American president should joke about being a king. Not in a country built on rebellion against a monarchy. Not in a system based on checks and balances. But Trump isn't just testing boundaries. He's redefining them. He's seeing how far he can go. And if no one pushes back, the next move gets bolder. So when he talks about running again and again, we need to listen. Not to take his words as jokes, but as warnings. Democracies don't die overnight. They erode when people stop taking threats seriously, when they laugh off dangerous rhetoric, when they decide it's easier to stay quiet. That's how democracy dies. Not with a bang, but with a shrug. And right now, shrugging is the most dangerous thing we can do. Now here's where it gets unsettling. John Dean, former White House counsel during the Nixon era, pointed out a chilling scenario that could be exploited. Imagine this: Trump runs for vice president in 2028, paired with a loyal puppet at the top of the ticket. They win. Then, soon after taking office, that president resigns. Boom. Trump is back in the Oval Office without technically violating the 22nd Amendment. It sounds wild, even absurd. But remember, this is the same man who tried to overturn the results of a Democratic election. Would it be that far-fetched to think he'd try to sneak in through a loophole? Dean says it's constitutionally questionable, but not forbidden. And if there's even a sliver of a legal path, Trump's team might just go for it. But what happens if that kind of plan gains traction? What if this third-term fantasy isn't just Trump talking, but a real movement already being put into action? Stick around, because what one lawmaker just proposed might change everything. You won't believe how far it's already gone. John Dean didn't just lay out the scary loophole. He also made a powerful comparison that puts things into perspective. He brought up Barack Obama. Now, love or hate Obama, here's the thing. He had every reason to consider a third term. His approval ratings were high, his base was still fired up, and there were plenty of people begging him to run again. But he didn't even entertain the idea. Why? Because he respected the Constitution. Dean made it clear. Obama could have floated the same kind of tactics, but he didn't. That's the difference between a president and a power-hungry leader. And of course, Democrats aren't staying quiet on this. They've been sounding the alarm ever since Trump first teased a third term. Ken Martin, vice chair of the DNC, didn't hold back. He called Trump's remarks exactly what they are: un-American, warning that this is what authoritarianism looks like in real time. Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett went even further, saying Trump is no different from dictators who rewrite the rules just to stay in power. According to her, this isn't just dangerous, it's a direct threat to democracy. And honestly, you don't have to be a Democrat to feel that chill. But here's where it gets troubling. It's not just Trump talking. Some Republicans are already laying the groundwork to make it happen. Congressman Andy Ogles, a Republican from Tennessee, actually introduced a resolution in Congress to amend the Constitution and allow a third presidential term under certain conditions, like if the terms are non-consecutive. Think about that. A sitting U.S. lawmaker wants to rewrite the Constitution so Trump, or anyone else, could come back for a third run. And while it's just a resolution for now, the fact that it even exists shows just how real this threat has become. It's no longer just talk, it's action. So now the question becomes, how far are they willing to go? Because if changing the Constitution is on the table, what else is? Next, we'll break down the public response, the legal roadblocks, and why this third-term dream might be more dangerous than anyone expected. Now here's where reality slams the brakes on Trump's third-term fantasy. Changing the Constitution isn't like passing a regular law. It's an uphill battle with insane obstacles. To even start the amendment process, 2/3 of both the House and the Senate have to approve it. And that's just the beginning. After that, 3/4 of the states, 38 of them, have to say yes too. Think about how divided the country is right now. Getting 38 states to agree on anything is nearly impossible. So even if Trump's allies push this resolution forward, what are the odds of it becoming reality? Slim to none. But that doesn't mean they won't try, or that the attempt itself isn't dangerous. Even some Republicans aren't buying into this third-term talk. Senator John Curtis didn't just reject the idea, he laughed it off.
That's a no.
That's a no, yeah.
Okay.
When asked if he'd support something like that, he said,
I wouldn't have supported a third term for George Washington.
That's a bold statement. considering Washington willingly stepped down to set the precedent for peaceful transitions of power. Curtis made it clear, there's a reason we have term limits, and anyone trying to override them is playing with fire. His reaction shows that not everyone in the GOP is ready to burn down the Constitution for one man's ambitions. Trump's third-term talk isn't just noise, it's a warning. While the Constitution stands strong, so does his desire for power. What do you think? Is this a real threat or political theater? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if this made you think, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories like this.